Welcome back, everybody, to some more End of a New Beginning, which is one of my favorite mods for Hearts of Iron 4. We begin in May of 1857 in this mod, and eventually it will encompass all the way well into the 21st century where we are today. But for now, we are going to dive in to a new nation. We've done just about everything that could possibly be done with the current state of the mod as the United States. So now we're going to dive into a new challenge as the Kingdom of Prussia. It's got a great national focus tree. There are so many options. It's going to be a lot of fun to kind of play through to deal with some of the history of Germany. We're going to try to unite Germany, obviously. We're going to probably deal with the French. We're going to deal with the Russians. This is going to be exciting, so let's dive right in. So right off the bat, we're going to choose our state names in either English or German. We want the German names, so we'll go with that. So, for example, Munich becomes München. So we're going to go with the German names. We're going to keep it that way as best we can. There's a lot to dive into with this mod. If you like this kind of thing and you want to see more of it, right up front, I'm just going to ask you to hit that like button. Make sure you leave a comment. Watch the video all the way to the very end. Those are the three biggest things you can do to support this channel, to make sure as many people as possible get to see this mod and get to see this gameplay. So right off the bat, we're going to look at the national focus tree because there's so much here. We can back out and kind of see it better. And a lot of times with End of a New Beginning, once you get to a certain point in the focus tree, it unlocks new focus trees. I don't know if that's the case with Germany, but there's a lot to get into here. There's foreign policies, there's domestic policies. Right off the bat, we're going to see here, I think this is going to be where we want to go if we want to start forming the complete Germany, but we can't do that yet. So right here under General von Moltke, we have most of our military focus. The Prussian economy, though, is where we're going to start. We need to start building up our economy, building our infrastructure. Obviously, we don't have a lot of territory right now, but eventually we're going to have opportunities to start merging some of these things. Let's go ahead and look at research. And I'm not going to worry about military right now too much. We really want to focus on things that are going to build up our infrastructure, build up our ability to produce in our economy. So we're going to look at a lot of things like production efficiency. We're going to look at engineering. There's construction speed, which is something that's going to be key. Construction speed and research speed right off the bat, I really want to hit strong because those are going to help me long term as much as possible. The earlier we get those construction and research speed bonuses, the more they help over the long term. Monthly population, civilian factory bonus, because we're going to start ramping up the civilian factories right off the bat. I also want to look at infrastructure, though. Our infrastructure is actually pretty decent for the time being. I don't know where we are on trade as far as it doesn't look like we need to import anything. Oh, no, we do. We need wood and we need fabric right off the bat. So let's go ahead and look at construction for those things. Logging camp right here will get us 6 wood. Let's go ahead and build a logging camp. We'll worry about fabric later on. I definitely want to build up some civilian industry wherever possible. So let's queue up a couple of those as well. We've only got 5 current civilian factories. That's atrocious, and that's got to change. There's pretty substantial military power here in Prussia. You can see we've got a pretty nice amount of divisions. 93 divisions. That is huge. My entire playthrough as the United States, I never had 93 divisions. So I don't think we need to do much in the way of building new divisions. We need to just do what we can to properly equip and train the existing divisions. So actually, I'm going to start right off the bat doing some exercises so we can start building up our army experience points. And we'll put them all in one army for now. It doesn't really matter. We'll start building up that experience so we can spend experience on reshaping these divisions into the kind of combat force that I want to have. We have some decisions that will be available. Nothing I really want to do right now. We've got trade treaties that will be available. That's pretty cool. Traditions and celebrations. some things in Parliament we'll be able to do to start shaping our country. We've got 18 million people, nice amount of available manpower, free military factories, so really not a lot I need to worry about right now with those. So we're about to complete our first national focus, which is the Prussian economy. I just want to show a few other things as I've been looking at this focus tree a little deeper. These areas here, the military focus and the economy focus, all eventually lead down to German unification right here. There are a lot of other things we have to do to complete German unification, but primarily these two, and that means we've got to get everything else ahead of those. So we've got a long way to go to do that. There's also some things we can do over on the other end of things. We can't do the North German Confederation until we win the 7 Weeks War. Don't know how we go about starting the 7 Weeks War, if that's something that fires on its own, but I'm sure I'll probably figure that out as we go along a little further. We're going to go with develop our cities. That's going to lead to factories in Berlin, which is going to give me a Berlin civilian industry decision to make, and we're going to work on that factory tree there. Also, once we complete this new Germany, it's gonna, you can see here, it unlocks the new German focus tree. So as I mentioned at the beginning, there are other focus trees that can be unlocked once you complete certain ones on this. This is not the only focus tree that we have to deal with the entire game. So there's a lot here. Let's continue on. The Prussian Postal Service. The Prussian Postal Service has been in operation since 1806, but only as recently as 1850 has Prussia gotten its own postal stamps. Now, with the recent administrative reforms and expansion of the system, it is working better than ever. So that's a little bonus to our legislative power there, which right now we can see what's affecting that. We'll have to think about changes we may want to make in Parliament. So I'm just looking at some of these things here. I'm looking at political advisors that are available. Hermann von Helmholtz gives us a 3% bonus to research speed, which right up front is a nice leg up on things. So we're definitely going to take advantage of that. You can see here where we're at on research right now. I have gone ahead and divided my army up into separate armies. I didn't know if that would make it more efficient for training purposes, but the exercises are going really slowly as far as experience goes. It's taken a long time to develop that. The Pennsylvania oil rush, petroleum for much of human history, has been regarded as unneeded and frankly annoying, with accidental discoveries of it being tossed away in favor of other goods. However, with recent inventions and discoveries, people have begun to see that oil can be used for a more productive manner, especially in the use of lighting candles for homes. On August 28, 1857, the Drake Well in Pennsylvania, that's about an hour away from me in Titusville. The Panic of 1857 hit. Russian empires declared war. The Drake Well in Pennsylvania opened, which sought after oil in the intent of commercializing it. The Drake Well has seen much success, and investors are now flocking to. It's Titusville, not Titusburg, and there's only one T, just for the developers out there who may be watching this, because it's in western PA. I live right like 8 miles from the border, and actually I have some ancestors buried in Titusville. Panic of 1857, so that's going to hurt the economy, but we're just going to have to do our best. We are developing our cities. As soon as that's complete, we're going to do factories in Berlin, which is going to unlock the decision Berlin civilian industry, which hopefully is very helpful to us. So let's talk just briefly about the history of Prussia, because I think, especially here in the United States, probably most Americans aren't real familiar with Prussia as far as the kingdom goes. We know Germany, but Germany is really kind of a pretty modern idea. The nation of Germany is younger than the United States by a significant amount of time. Prussia goes back all the way to 1525, and actually Prussia existed as a state until 1947. It was dissolved in the aftermath of World War II by Allied decree, though it really kind of ceased to exist in 1932 when the powers of the Prussian government were all kind of transferred to the German chancellor. So there's factories in Berlin, which is supposed to give me a decision. So we'll have to look at the decisions and see where we're at with that. Let's go ahead and do factories in Danzig. While we're at it, we'll get another decision there. So let's look at the decisions. and see what's available to us. I don't see anything yet. Maybe it's going to pop up in a few minutes because I just see things for stabilizing the nation, etc., developing the Prussian homeland. So anyway, Prussia started as a duchy on the Baltic Sea, and eventually kind of increased its amount of territory a little bit more and more. Primarily, it was centered in this area over here. Eventually, it kind of merged with other territories, eventually, forming kind of the modern German state. But it was ruled by the Hohenzollerns, who are that's Kaiser Wilhelm II. He's of that house. So the first king of Prussia, it was a dukedom under Albert I from 1525 to 1568. Friedrich III was the last Duke of Prussia, and then, of course, he became Friedrich I, the King of Prussia. Kind of made himself a king. Technically, he was the elector of Brandenburg and Duke of Prussia, and those two things were in a personal union. And the Dukedom of Prussia, then he upgraded to kingdom status. So we've got a lot of wars breaking out here, but I still haven't seen anything. Maybe we've got that decision now available to us. No, we still don't. So here's Berlin civilian industry. We have to have at least 2 civilian industry in Berlin. And it says effects when completed, Berlin will add a building slot, and one of the two will happen. Will either gain manpower or stability. So actually, that's doing a lot less than I really would have hoped that it does. So I guess we've got to go ahead and build a civilian industry in Berlin. That's Brandenburg. We actually have one that's almost completed there, so we'll actually be completing that here in just a few minutes. The Prussian elections of 1858 have taken place, and the final results came in a few minutes ago. Our current minister president, Otto Theodor von Manteuffel, is to be replaced with Karl Anton von Hohenzollern. We're just talking about them. There also seems to be an unexpected wave of liberalism in the country. That's kind of happening all over the world at this point. And it seems like this ideology is on the rise for now. All right, so we've got ourselves a new ruler. Let's see if that actually happened. Yep, there he is, Karl Anton von Hohenzollern. The name itself, Prussia, actually comes from the old Prussians in the 13th century, the Teutonic Knights, who they are the ones who kind of historically had this territory. They were like one of those medieval orders of crusaders that kind of developed in the time of the Crusades. In this case, they were German. In 1308, the Teutonic Knights conquered the region of Pomerania with Danzig. Their monastic state was mostly Germanized through immigration from central and western Germany, and in the south it was Polonized by settlers from Masovia. The second piece of thorn in 1466 split Prussia into the western Royal Prussia, a province of Poland, and the eastern part. From 1525, that part was called the Duchy of Prussia. And it was actually a fief of the Crown of Poland until 1657. Civil War in Mexico. So the regency of Prince Wilhelm IV, Friedrich Wilhelm IV, his successor, Prince Wilhelm I, has been assigned with the task of a regency in Prussia for now. All right, a lot happening here. I've got some research to do. Napoleon III attacked with a bomb. Napoleon III, he's the nephew of the Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte that we all know from history. And he tried several times to do a coup to take over the French government. Finally, when he couldn't do that, he got himself elected president. And then once he became president, then he kind of turned France back into an empire again. Didn't last a real long time. I believe he was out with the Franco-Prussian War. On the 14th of January 1858, the Emperor and Empress attended the theater on the Rue Le Pelletier. Orsini and his partners in crime detonated 3 bombs. The first bomb was thrown too far, but the second broke glasses, and the third destroyed the Imperial Luxury Salon. The Emperor and Empress are covered in blood, but they are safe and sound. The steel walls of the car protected them. All right, we've got research to do. We're just going to continue working on things that are going to help with industry, at least for now. But I think we're going to do at least one thread where we're going to look at options for the military. It doesn't appear we really have any at the moment, though. 1860 is where a lot of that starts. We do have the option for some guns, though. So I hadn't noticed this before, but Berlin actually has its own little territory within Brandenburg. And we have one civilian industry there right now. We need two for that decision that's happening. So let's go ahead and build that up. We've got until January of 1860 to get that done. So I think we'll be okay. Prince Wilhelm Friedrich of Prussia and Princess Victoria of England married today. This will benefit our nation and the Hohenzollern dynasty. Plus, it will improve our relations with the United Kingdom. So Victoria is the oldest child of Queen Victoria and her husband, Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. And their child, Kaiser Wilhelm II, was Queen Victoria's oldest grandchild. So, just one of those many close royal ties that Germany had to the United Kingdom. Let's start looking at foreign policy. I think we want to pursue a policy of alliance with Britain if that's at all possible. But we also have to look at, eventually there's going to be a rivalry with France that we will not be able to avoid. Here we've got an Austrian embassy. Of course, we've got, I mentioned earlier, the 7 Weeks War, which is part of what helps us form the North German Confederation. That was a war that was fought between Germany and Austria, and it didn't last very long. All right, let's go ahead and start working on some foreign policy. So at least for now, I'm going to switch to an export focus because more than I need any, right now I'm really not doing much as far as production for the military goes. So I don't really need a lot as far as things that I want to trade for. I'm not too worried about the fact that I don't have enough wood or fabric coming in because I've already got a big military. I don't need to worry about a navy right now. So really what I need are civilian factories. And the way I get more civilian factories is to trade away more of my goods. So in order to do that, we're going to switch to a more export focus. Hopefully we can make that happen through voting. If we can't, we'll use some of our points to kind of force that through. But let's go ahead and do the export focus under trade laws. We're going to go ahead and vote for this reform. We'll vote in a month. Let's see how the parliament shapes up for this, our Reichstag, whether or not it's going to be an easy vote that happens here. All right, we've got 172 votes in favor of it out of 128 needed. That's going to be an easy pass. We're all traditional conservative or centrists in the government right now. The Free Export Act of 1858 will pass with little trouble. Okay, here it is. 177 to 79, it passes. So my question then is, how does that end up impacting our available factories? It hasn't really so far impacted it at all. We're just not trading things enough. We're gaining 3 from trade. I'd like to see that number go up. But, we are exporting a little more than we did before. I'd like to see that be better than that, though. Let's look at not that. Let's go ahead and look at the ledger and see kind of where we rank right now. Kingdom of Prussia is the 5th most powerful nation in the world. After the UK, the French Empire, the US, the Austrians. The Austrians are actually more powerful than us right now. Of course, I'm a parliamentary monarchy rather than an absolute. I'd like to move toward absolute monarchy if I can. They've got significantly more population, almost double. We've got more factories. Not nearly as many as the US, though. We've got a vastly superior army to the US, but actually the Austrian army is bigger than ours as well. So we definitely need to work on things to be on par with even with the Austrians right now. Of course, we know that by the time World War I breaks out, Germany is the preeminent power in Europe, significantly more powerful than Austria. So we want to be there as well. So we've completed our focus for foreign politics. Now we're going to look at the options that are available here. And I'm not entirely sure that there's a lot to be gained by doing this right now. So I think we'll look here. We can't do that yet. We don't have the ability for that. Prussian colonial. I'm not going to worry about colonial ambition right now. Here we go. I think this might be where we need to go in order to get the 7 weeks war to happen. I'm not entirely sure. But let's go ahead and do this. No, we can't do that either. Oh, so we need Otto von Bismarck to be the current country leader for some of these things to take place. What do we got down here? The king. Oh, we're not going to abdicate, that's for sure. We actually want a stronger monarchy, if anything. So I guess for now, we stick to what we have available to us over here. Let's go with von Moltke. So right now we have a border control policy that's actually hurting our monthly population growth. So I think that's going to be the next thing that we go after. But I'm looking to see, I think we have a new decision available. There's a speech coming. There's our howitzer. We got a bunch of decisions to make here with research as well. So let's go ahead here first. We're going to go back to the Reichstag, the Landtag, and we're going to look for border laws. And we're at border control right now. We're going to actually go to open borders. We're going to vote on that reform. I don't know if that'll pass, but we're going to give it a go here in a minute. Let's look at the decisions and see where that stands. 146. That's a little tighter. I'd like to see that go up some. So I think we'll probably go ahead and make a speech in Parliament to make that happen. Now let's go ahead over to research slots. I'd like to go to the rifled howitzer, but we're a little ahead on research for that right now. We're not going to deal with these field guns at the moment. Army doctrines. Let's look at that. Focus on innovation. Army experience gain bonus. Traditional army artillery support. I don't know where I want to go on that one. I like the idea of innovation, though. Now let's look at socioeconomics and humanities. Shift work's going to give us a production efficiency growth bonus. Aviation's not a concern right now. Biochemistry. Hygiene. Let's invent hygiene. All right. So let's go ahead and see what happens when we make this speech in Parliament. Our estimated vote at 146 is a little nerve-wracking for me because sometimes we overestimate those. That only gained us an additional 8 votes, but I'm feeling like that's probably going to be enough to make this happen. I don't want to spend any more legislative power, though I have a whole lot. We'll see how this vote goes. All right, the vote has passed. So that gains me 1 political stability. I was already maxed out on that. But we should now start to see a little bit more of a growth in our total population, which will help kind of strengthen who we are. I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. I like to keep these episodes short because they do take a while to record. But I also like to be able to get feedback from all of you. One of the things that really makes this game fun for me is the collaborative process. With my US playthrough, after every episode, I got a lot of great feedback, a lot of insight, a lot of helpful hints from other people who know the game well. I know some of the folks who are developers of this game also follow this channel and follow these series. So I want to give you that opportunity. So let me know your thoughts about what you would do if you were in my position, the decisions you would make, the way you would go with foreign policy, the way you would go with internal decisions, construction, the military. Use that comment section below. Let me hear what you think, and we will be back every other day as much as possible with another episode of this series. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like. Thanks.